Today, we're checking out the Orlimar one-length irons. What's happening, Panda Nation? Peter Von Panda here. Hey, I just picked these clubs up, and these are no normal irons. In fact, I can't believe that I haven't discovered these earlier, because I think they are kind of game-changing, especially for a golfer like me who's not very good. But these things have actually been around for a while, and so I'm a little surprised they haven't taken off. But they're called single-length irons, one-length irons, and the reason is they are all the same length from hosel to grip, and basically they are all in one length, and that is the 7-iron length. And that's because most people hit a 7-iron pretty well. You know, overall length and lie is pretty nice for a lot of people, and so all of the shafts are the same length, but then all of the lies on all the irons are the same lie as well, regardless of which iron it is, 5-iron or 9-iron. Now what that's going to do is it's going to make the short irons just a little bit longer, but it's going to make those long irons a little bit shorter. And the advantage of it is it's going to give you only one swing to put into muscle memory. So you are going to swing all of these almost exactly the same. And for a lot of us, if you've ever played golf, you'll know that swinging long irons and hitting long irons well is really a challenge. And I think I know the reason, and that's why I picked these up. Before we get into the demo of these clubs, I just want to take a quick look at them, because these clubs are pretty nice. Now, one-length, single-length irons aren't brand new. I think they've been around, or at least the idea has been around, for almost a decade now. Now, I am shocked that more people aren't using these, but there might be several reasons for that. One of the things that I really wanted to do was get a name brand that I know. Now, this one is by Orlimar. You can see it in there. They actually have a cavity back design. They look pretty standard. They say Intercept here, single length. That identifies them as a single length. Looks like we have some material or a painted recessed area there on the toe and the heel. You know, they look like a typical cavity back iron. Nice polish on it, a little bit of that sandblasted gray face, pretty long hosel here, and a little bit of, I would call it like neon green, very light neon yellow maybe even up here. And Orlimars are pretty nice. I've always liked them. I think they kind of hit the market as a premium brand for a little while, but now they've kind of fallen into the category of a value brand. These have a metal shaft, and you can see here the Orlimar grip on there as well, all color matched. And they are very inexpensive. And in fact, when I was looking for single length golf clubs, I wanted to get something with a brand that I knew, because there are a couple off brands, and I'm going to show you some of those too, like Pinhawk and some of the others. But I really wanted something that, you know, I had some experience with in the past, and the Orlimar Tri-Metals are some clubs that I really liked way back in the day. Now, I also believe that Cobra makes the one-length irons, but they're also much more expensive. So this set of irons here is about $200, or maybe even a smidge less depending on where you get them. And there's a couple reasons for that. But the Cobra ones seemed like they were $400, $500, $600. So seemed like a big price jump for not a lot of additional benefit. Now, one of the reasons that this set of irons is cheaper than other set of irons is that they only go up generally to a 5-iron. So you don't get a 3-iron and a 4-iron like you do in most sets. Now, actually, most sets today don't even come with a 3-iron. Some don't even come with a 4-iron, and that's because a lot of people have switched to hybrid fairway woods for the long irons instead of it. So what you get is a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and pitching wedge. But in the Orlimar set, you also get this, a gap wedge. So this is something that kind of fits between your pitching wedge and your sand wedge, even a higher loft angle on it. And so this is kind of really nice. So, you know, sometimes I think we would call these like an approach wedge, but as you can see here, nice looking clubs. And honestly, that's one of the things that golf is about, you know, is looking good. And I wanted to get a set of clubs that I liked looking at. And because Orlimar is a brand that's out there, I can get matching Orlimar bag and Orlimar accessories, as well as Orlimar woods if I want them to. So I'm not totally sure, but we're going to take a close look at these. All right, so let me visually show you exactly what single length means. I have that 7-iron right here, which is that kind of sweet spot club for most people. So I'm going to lay that down here. Now I have the gap wedge right here, and I'm going to put that right next to it here, head to head. And what you might be able to see is that those grips line up because everything is the same length. Now, if I take the 5-iron, the longest club here, and I lay that right down there too, what you're going to see here, all those grips line up. All of these clubs are exactly the same length, and that's going to give you basically the same experience lining up to a golf ball. Now, for comparison, I have my Callaway Steelhead 5-iron here, and I'm just going to put this down here as well and put that in the same spot here. And we will go up to this end, and you can see that 5-iron is maybe an inch longer than the rest of the clubs there. And now, let me explain why single length is so important. I've got a ball here, and I have the 2 5-irons, the Callaway as well as the Orlimar, and you can see here that one is definitely longer than the other. Now, the reason I think this is so important is that when you are swinging your golf club, you are really swinging down on the ball. And so when you pull away here and then you swing, you want to kind of come down on that ball, and having a vertical trajectory down on the ball is kind of the mental key to it. Now, the problem is when I take the longer club like this and I put it up here, what I have to do is I have to stand further away, and I'm going to exaggerate just a little bit, but now I'm trying to swing down on the ball, but because the ball is further away, I also feel like I'm swinging around at it, kind of like a baseball swing. So I'm kind of trying to balance my swinging down on it. When the ball feels close, you feel like you have a lot more control because there just isn't that much variable to it. But now the further away I get it, now I've got to swing down on it, I've got to swing out to it, kind of cast the club out to it, and I just feel like there are multiple dimensions to it that are really hard to balance. Now, you could say that's just more of a mental thing. You can actually train around that. But isn't kind of mastering the mental aspect of anything the most challenging part of it? It's actually the problem I think that Mitch Trubisky has, which is why you can't throw left. So as a right-hander, as I'm throwing a football down the right side of the field, I feel like I'm throwing behind them, and so I'm in line with their running path. But when I'm throwing across my body, even though there is probably no measurable difference between the angle of the ball and the receiver, I feel like he feels that he's throwing the ball across his body, across the field, perpendicular to the receiver. And that's the reason I think he doesn't throw left very well. So it's all really mental. So I know a lot of people will actually shave their clubs down to a little bit of a shorter length, but there's a challenge with that in that the lie of the club is very important. And the lie of the club is the angle that it meets the club head. And on longer clubs like this, it's going to have a shallower lie angle, so you'll have to adjust that, and clubs aren't meant to be adjusted more than a degree or two. And so when you get single length clubs, the lie is adjusted to be appropriate to the club. The other thing that's different here is that single length clubs, because of the shorter length of the shaft for many of them, is that you have to adjust the weight, because the perceived weight is very important with these clubs too, because the perceived weight is what you use to kind of determine where the club head is by feel. And so you want all of the clubs to feel the same weight. And so when you take standard club heads and just put them on shorter shafts, you are changing the perceived weight between the clubs, and that can also be distracting and throw off your game as well. So they have adjusted all of that in single length clubs. Now, like I said, there's some off brands too, $150, $170 for a set of irons from Pinhawk. That's pretty good. But at $180 or $190 for Orlimars, I thought that was actually a really good deal. And if you want to go up to more of a premium name brand like Cobra, you can certainly do that too and pay a little bit more. But I didn't want to spend a lot of money without giving these things a shot here and seeing if they really worked. So now the next thing we have to do is get these out to the range and a golf course and see what my final thoughts are.
So I did play around in golf with these, and I did take them out to the driving range. Here I'm set up with the 9-iron and with the 5-iron, and you would be hard-pressed, might be even impossible to tell which club I'm set up with, because they are both the same length and lie angle. And so that's the point of these, is that you only have to remember one swing. And as an occasional golfer, that is really, really powerful. So here I am grabbing the 9-iron. I do pull it just a little bit left, but what's really great about this is that the short irons or the high number irons are usually pretty easy to hit. But now, because all the clubs are short like that, so I grab the 7-iron here, 2 clubs up. Again, the swing is the same, and you can hit that really straight. And because the club lengths are a little bit shorter, I think it just gives you more control. And here I go all the way up to the 5-iron, so we hit the 9, the 7, and the 5. And again, you get a hold of that longer club in a much easier and more comfortable way, and hopefully you will have more accuracy with those longer irons than you will on a normal set of clubs where the lengths will vary. The other telltale sign for me was the first time I went on the course with these irons, I shot almost exactly what I would have shot with my old irons. And when you take on a new set of clubs, you're not familiar with them, you usually will do worse with them. So as time goes on and I get more used to them, I think they will actually help improve my game. And it's one of those things where you might not get as much length, but for most of us, what we want is control so that we can enjoy the game of golf. If you want to pick up these set of Orlimar single length irons, I really love them. I am a true believer in them. I will put a link to them in the description. I think they are a great value and a great club. Peter Von Panda, out.